All right. So I actually wanted to come on here and like just talk about spirituality and like capitalism and the close relations it has to each other. And I mean, it's not supposed to be the way it is, but it is that way. Um, the reason why I wanted to do this is because I noticed that I have a whole lot of like spiritual people start following me on IG, and especially like DMing me and be like, um, they sensed my energy, and that's why they are in my inbox asking me if I want them to do readings for me. Um, so hi. Um, I really don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to like analyze it. But like, I have thoughts about things that I've been thinking about. Like, I guess, I guess on this journey of like spiritual awake, like my awakening, I've been thinking about these kind of how closely related or closely aligned we are these days to like capitalism and like spiritual practice. So I don't know if that makes any sense. That make any sense to you? Like, oh yeah, like the only person here. That make any sense to what I just say? Like, there's such a close um the people that want to practice spirituality. And when I say spirituality, there's even I mean, I guess I can say African spirituality, right? And um, they are practicing African spirituality, but it seems closely related to like a come up. And it's also like very hip and very hip to be the weird person now in social media times. Like you want to create a niche for yourself, so you become this spiritual guru. And it's fine if you are actually interested in spirituality, not just because it is capital and you can actually it's lucrative. Nobody is really touching that market in the way that it can be tapped into, sure, because yes, it can be something to be exploited, right? But then what about people who are exploring spirituality for actually experience sake, or just actually to find solutions to things? Where I think that I come in, and I'm not bashing anybody, and I'm not like saying that one practice is better than the other, because I really don't know. So it's like having that conversation itself, if I'm really like exploiting something, or am I genuinely interested in the practice. So when people message me about them wanting to read my palm um for free, I'm like, why would you, like, if your practice is aligned to that, why is it that you needed me to, I guess, be trending on Instagram to offer me free services? That's the next thing. Rich people don't pay for things. Like yesterday, totally unrelated, totally unrelated. But yesterday, Popeyes, Jamaica, say that um they were bigging up their customers because Usain Bolt came through and they turned on back the fryer. No, if I came through Popeyes and I was late, even a minute, and I'm dead in for hungry, nobody not looking at me. But that's the whole thing. Like capitalism has allowed certain people to get certain privilege. But when it comes to spirituality, I've always been attracted to it because I felt like this was something that people without resources, without access to things, could actually feel some kind of security. And then it's coming from a space of indigenousness, you know? Yeah, like it comes from a space. So I'm like looking at, there's a lot of things in life for me that just like link up, you know? So like in spiritual practice, because we can say as I'm going to like I am so thirsty. It is so hot in Kingston. So bear with me. Bear with me. But for example, in Jamaica, there is like this large there isn't really large churches like mega churches that like own I don't know, like, you know what I mean, like you don't have mega churches in Jamaica. If there's a mega church in Jamaica, please educate me because I don't know. But they're like in America, in other parts of the world, where there is these mega churches, and they're actually really rich, tax breaks, all of these things. So I want to know, like, is it that, hey, I'm having this practice of like spiritual, and that's the thing. I feel like I'm treading lightly on my own journey into like spirituality and like what it can do for people, like the kind of liberation that he can give to people who can't afford to do certain things. And let me read this. I think there are churches like that in Jamaica, mega churches at Jamaica's in Jamaica scale. Oh yeah, I get what you're saying. So like basically what you say is that there are probably mega churches in Jamaica, but not as mega as the ones in America, right? I don't know. The only church where I can even the whole universal church thing. I think that's the only church I can really say that was like mega like that. Yeah. So what was I saying? Yeah. So African spirituality, or even like I'm just gonna use like Rastafari as something. Like Rastafari came out of the fact that people um people wanted to see more out of the society, and they were looking forward to this revelation of something else, and they were believing in that something else, and that something else actually came. So Rastafari has the whole ideas around the kingship and like crown and like black sovereignty. So when Haile Selassie came through as an example, that became some form of liberating space that they can actually say as poor black people that Rasta, like, that man is black, he's alive, and he's a king. So there's this, and I can aspire to be king like. You know, my thing with like these spirituality things is like is like it's I'm not gonna say it's becoming popular to be like aligned with African spirituality, because I am aligned with it, and I feel like for a long time I've been probably closeted with like the whole idea of like actually acknowledging that I am probably very interested in like actually practicing African spirituality and all of that, right? But like I feel like there is a lot of confusion in the space of people just taking information from the internet, not actually doing research with people who are like a part of, you know, African spiritual practice. But like just going on the internet and saying, and I mean, that is a starting place. I'm not saying that it's not, but just going on the internet and saying them is a daughter of Oshun, when really and truly you need to go through a babalo and go through that um in, you know, kind of indoctrination into the spiritual practice to know that to know what your orisha is, what is this. So yeah, my thing with the whole capitalism thing as well is um and I'm sure everybody know what capitalism is, right? I should have probably put that in. Oh my god. Yeah, so um yeah, so spirituality for me isn't spirituality for everybody else. And spirituality for me isn't the same for everybody else. And like I understand that. But like I feel like there is some space of sameness in ideas or understanding things. For me, for a long time, I could not understand buying crystals. I couldn't understand buying crystals, especially because crystals are so expensive. And um, these African spiritual practices, I don't know. I don't know because, and as I say, educate me because I don't know. It's like investing in crystals. And this is also a part of capitalism. Investing in like stone and like pretty stones just never appeal to me. And I don't know if that's something that I should be investigating. And I don't know, like I just seem as if I always looked at it as people with kind of money and access to affording crystals, kind of going and tapping into African spirituality or any form of like, I guess, spirituality that is not mainstream. Yeah, that makes sense. Woman just makes sense, right? So my problem is if these practices come from people who cannot afford things, why am I practicing a thing where no, I can afford a $5,000 in Jamaica currency, by the way, a $5,000 crystal or a 10 grand crystal, and crystals are very expensive, very expensive. I'm not gonna tell you something about a crystal because I find crystals like the stones because I have one beautiful, and people tell you about it having energy this and like energy that, but like I feel like there's like I don't know, I don't know this what they're practicing, like I don't know, but I feel like there is like this it's like this monster of like just capitalism just coming into the spiritual practice and making it like oh, I can afford crystals, so I'm doing the right thing kind of thing. But then I feel like as we start to go into this this kind of curiosity around spirituality, I really do believe that as Caribbean people, there's things that we need to start to look into, especially if we say we are gonna start go on this spiritual journey. I really believe that Caribbean people need to start to investigate and try to try to even help how we combat certain things such as childhood sexual abuse, like how we talk about it, how we educate, how we heal. I feel like there's that. kind of thing. That's what I believe. I feel like we need to start to address instances where there is abuse against animals. You know, even though yes, in African spirituality there is also that kind of culture of like maybe killing goats and stuff like that. But we need to start to investigate these kind of things as spiritual people. Like, I'm not there because I'm just a mere artist trying to. I'm being very genuine with my practice. It's not like I don't just want to make artworks around African spirituality. I also want it to impact other people's lives, even if they don't believe in it. If you get what I'm saying. So even for my research project, which I'm gonna plug, it was like I had this idea. It's been bubbling in me for a while. And that's how like manifestations happen, and my first exhibition that I went into was called manifestations. And I started to think about manifestations more. And I started to think about how do you manifest certain things in your life. And if I can manifest this pen and I can manifest the cock, how can I manifest things that is hurting, women like myself? And what are the issues around that? I feel like there's not much thought into how we can help others, especially the people like me, like, because notice it. I notice it. No shade to nobody, but like, everybody is like self-centered in a way. Yes, we're supposed to practice self-care, we're supposed to do this, but then how do we use spirituality to impact others is where I come in. And the whole capitalism thing, and I'm going to do another video about minimalism and capitalism because I'm battling with that as well. But yeah, let me take a break and read this. um Spirituality is being one with all things that 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 is of existence. Once you're one with yourself, all will be revealed on a higher level. Respect nature, animals, trees, universe. The universe will deliver to you. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like even on my own journey, I'm thinking that I'm gonna screenshot this, okay? I feel like, how do I screenshot this? I feel like I can't screenshot. Hold on. No, it's not screenshot. I don't know why. I don't know why. Anyway, I feel like there's like these things that I'm trying to say, like, we're not taking care of the environment. We're not taking care of things outside of ourselves. And I understand that we are in a space of vulnerability and like um just trauma, like, existing, that we're not necessarily doing. I feel like we should start to think about these things like on a real level. I think we should start to think about sustainable living. Like, I think a lot of spiritual people in Jamaica don't think about just why the fuck am I saying that? Like, I feel like I'm going to be like saying things that I don't like analyze as yet. I feel like a lot of people that I've seen, let's say that word, a lot of people that I've seen who are embracing spirituality is more aligned with like even just becoming fashion in listen, I'm thirsty. Like, it's all about fashion. It's all about making clothes that look like this and this. And I'm very here for people making their own clothes and all of that. But I feel like there's more, like, more research needs to be done into sustainable fashion, Like as spiritual people, like how do we preserve the earth? How do how do we preserve self? How we preserve the trees? How we preserve all of these things that we need to to use for our spiritual practice, because we need the earth, we need the leaves, we need everything to be healthy for us to exist. So I really believe so. I'm not going to lie to you. I really love people that do service and like just do like go to the beach and clean up. I don't necessarily do it. I feel like, and also I'm not going. I'm saying that, yeah, but I'm also, I think everybody have their role to play, you know. But I also really respect people who take the time and volunteer in, and they might not be spiritual, like that, but they might be going to church or whatever. But it's a global thing, and it's not a thing where I'm saying that, oh, African spiritual people need to do this and that. But I feel like Jamaicans need to really start to think about it, especially because we live in Jamaica. We need to start to think about how we treat the trees and how we treat the local area we live around. I remember a long time ago, I was listening to a Sizzler song. I don't remember the name of the song, but I was listening to the song, and he was basically talking about community development. Just mere fact that in your community, fix up your community. Like, don't live for yourself. Don't say, oh, because you can afford crystals, you can you are like so divine and everything, and you're not developing space, and you're not developing ideas. Like, for me, I feel like every time I meet a spiritual person that is those so captivating, I'm like, whoa. Like, whoa. Like, yesterday I was listening to this woman named Jojo Abbott. And she was like one of my first inspirations into like just loving African, everything African. She's just Africa. And I just remember seeing that woman for the first time, and she using her creative artworks and stuff to kind of tell you that, hey, there's a power, like there's a power within yourself, you know? And I remember seeing that, and I felt so inspired. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, people, and she uses sustainability to make her artworks. Like, she make her artworks from things that not going to harm people, not going to harm animals in the making of it. So yeah, like, sure, I want to exist in a space where I'm in like a good space of mind, where I don't have to go to 9 to 5 work, and I can really live a spiritual existence where it's not just being, oh, I'm not working and I'm not this and I'm not that, but like I'm actually enjoying living. I'm not going to a 9 to 5 job and then coming on Instagram to say, oh, today I read, that's the next thing, today I read a passage about the chakras, so I am spiritually aligned. People put on social media what they want to become. I don't want to be that person. Like, I really don't want to be that person, or the person that they wish they are. I don't want to be that person. I want to show you exactly who I am, you know? Kind of who I am on social media. I don't want to just be, oh, a fashion girl. A lot of times too, you'd believe that because you are also like into African spirituality, and somebody else is into African spirituality, and you follow them page, you'd believe that they would follow you back, because that's building community, right? They don't follow you back. What's that about? Like, what is that about? You can't tell me it is not about capitalism. Like, it is so enriched in capitalism, it's not funny. I feel like I sidetracked so much this entire thing. I'm actually um going to do proper research for my podcast because I don't want to sound like I'm actually just ranting about things I realize on the internet. I don't want to be that girl, but I just want to come here and like just things that just bother me, things that bother me about just me trying to explore these things. Let me see this now. The meaning of spirituality is getting underrated. I think like it is so underrated. Like, oh, girl, and I think it's more overrated. It could be both. It could be both. When I think about it, like the meaning of spirituality is getting underrated. I completely agree. I completely agree because, like, oh God, like I don't know, like I've met so many because I'm out there as well, and I've met so much people who when you said to them that you them first thing them ask you if you believe in a God, and I might say what I might say, and they'd be like, oh, so yeah, one of them people. I'm like, and then the next thing people assume about me is that I'm Rastafari, which to be honest, I have no problem with. I have no problem with because it's like it's like more like believing in like kingship and stuff. So I'm not mad at it. And it's the closest thing right now in Jamaica that is like African centered. So I have no issues with it. But because there's not a lot of information around African spirituality in Jamaica, or like African spiritual practice in Jamaica, there is not, that like information based into how we practice it. And like when people hear that, it's either they get very scared of you or they roll their eyes. Like, oh, so you're the one of them girls with us by crystals. I don't want to be one of those girls. And there's nothing wrong with like being one of those girls. It's just that for me, I feel like I want to impact people's life more. And I don't know if it's just um my own care for people, my humanitarianism that allows me to like think about people and think about the kind of lives they live, and the fact that I was conceived into a life of like just having nothing and having to go through colorism and have to go through my mother telling me to pray and me praying, and a lot of the things that was happening to me wouldn't change. And I'm not mental. I don't think I think that's a mental illness to like keep praying and then things not working out and you just have to keep praying and you don't do something about it. I really feel like that's a mental problem. I just believe that. So it's like I do believe it's overrated. I do believe it's underrated too. Like it is so underrated. And the thing too is like, oh God. Online, there's not much like if you're saying that you're into African spirituality and I understand practicing it alone, and I understand that because it's illegal. I think Obia is illegal in Jamaica and all of that. But like you don't necessarily have to actually practice because you don't know anything about it really. So having community is important. So why not like group up with people and have your secret club where you can go. Your little meetings where you can go and express that kind of love for African spirituality. Or maybe I should create the group. Ooh. But then who will come? Like I think about that. I think about that all the time. So let me read more comments. I can actually load the comments on my computer. I am so big and full. And I'm here struggling to read when I could just use my computer. Like, I have the computer in front of me. I'm sorry, guys, because I have a hard time actually seeing your comment. I'm going to look at it now. I have to make sure that my laptop is on the quiet side. I look so pretty. Oh, but I can't see a comment there. Okay, but now I can see it if you comment. All right. So the next thing is they start applying this thing about aesthetics. Oh my god, girl! Oh my god! Hold on, I think I'm gonna need like a hammer and a nail. Like I'm gonna need a hammer and a nail because guess what you do? You lick it right on it. You lick it right on it because there is like all this like Instagram is the death of us. Like we need to start. Oh my god! Like I don't even know how to address this. It's like I do see it. I do see it, and I think that's what I've been trying to say all day. That there's this aesthetic. I'm gonna name my video that the spiritual aesthetic and capitalism. Thank you. Because I was wondering why is it like that? So if you go on a certain page, I'm gonna use Oshun as an example because Oshun is so pop culture, and she's probably her spirit is probably the first most at girl say them a Oshun. Most at girl say them a Oshun. But I not say it work because of the aesthetic. You're so right. You're so right. I don't know. Tell me if I lie, me I tell. Like every time you go on a spiritual page or somebody who is acknowledging African spirituality, there's always this notion of Oshun, them being a daughter of Oshun, but that's not how it works. You could be a daughter of Shango. You don't choose. You don't choose who you're supposed to be in African spirituality. You are what the ancestors say that you are. You don't choose. So because the aesthetic is to be a hot girl, and that's the aesthetic that everybody have, you know, and dancehall culture is very aligned with Oshun's energy. That's why everybody wants to be this hot girl. I'm not gonna tell you like I found out I am closely aligned to Oshun and I was shocked because I don't consider myself a hot girl. And Oshun's energy is more sexual, it's more out there kind of vibe. You're more flirtatious, you're more I guess mother like, fertile, like all of that thing. And I'm just not that. Like I'm just not that kind of girl. And I feel like even if you go on my IG and I feel like sometimes I had to take down my post because I feel like sometimes I end up doing the same kind of thing where it's like, yes, people are looking at my page, but as a visual artist, how am I going to stand out and be my original self? The same self that is existing offline. So you're so right. I am a whole mood offline. I'm a whole mood offline. Online, I'm not that. I'm not the girl. Maybe I am, but I'm not that girl online. You can tell me if I'm that girl online. But I don't think I am. I just I just be chilled, Like I try the same energy I have on in person. Online, it's like 10% of my actual personality. Like 10%. And it's nice. That means I could be pushing the envelope. Like I could be expressing self more online. But I get lazy. I have ADHD. So yeah. So you're so right about aesthetics. You're so right. Yo, Kamala, I will be thinking about this for my entire life. I'm gonna write it down. Like I'm gonna think about this for my entire life. Aesthetic. And this is why I make my videos live, because I want to be able to like think about things openly, and like people get to, talk to me about the things that they think about things. But you're completely right. And the aesthetic is only to feed. I think I don't know if you know, but like in spirituality, there is this claim that there is 7 entities that live inside of your body, right? And seven, and I'm going to call it 7 bodies. But I also think because there's social media, there's an 8 body, right? Especially if you use social media. Let me read the next comment. If your mindset if your mind manifests love, so will your heart, mind, body, soul. Any ground you touch, you will give life. Use all that of the land respectfully. I completely get it. But my thing, because I feel like yeah, anywhere I go, I want to make some form of impact. And it's not because I'm a narcissist. No, no, no. It's because I actually feel like I can give something to the world, especially what the fuck, with my creative practice. So like, how can I become somebody greater than myself, and how can I also help other people to become greater than themselves? Because I feel like spirituality isn't selfish, and it is for community, and it is for people who are closely allied. I find that the spiritual people them where I don't know, I've never met them, and they live overseas, or they live, or like I connect to them through music or some reason. They're more kinder to me, and there's not this kind of fakeness, like there's this fake energy. Because the thing is, I've never come to anyone with notions that I am spiritual. You get what I'm saying? So it's like I understand. For example, one time, one of my friends, she posted something, and it's so she's like always like sharing crystals and stuff like that. And she was at the river one time. And if I'm not trying to be like book energy, and like be like, oh, this Orisha is a that, and this Orisha is a that, so therefore this can be there, and no, that's not what I'm trying to do. But then there is just blueprints to things, like there's just one way that things, like some things just go just one way it work. I'm sorry, here just picking my nose. I have such a bad habit. I'm sorry. Yeah. So she posted a bikini photo at the river, and then she captioned it something about um Yamaya energy, or something like that. And I said, um, mm, I think that's Oshun, because Yamaya and Oshun are both mothers, but one rules the sea and one rules the river. But screenshot one Google. You know, like when you Google something and the first thing will come up on Google at the top. She screenshot that and send it to me and say, yeah, I am at the God a river. She the God of all water. And I'm like, she's the God of water, salt water, and Oshun is fresh water. Oshun could be this because this is fresh. Let me drink some. You get what I'm saying? So like for likes and views, and then turn off the comment section or something so nobody can comment and like actually educate on on it. I find it weird. Let me read the other one. Spirituality is confused with religion, ignorance a bit most of it. Definitely. I find that and I don't know, I've been alright, let me openly say it then. And then maybe people can help me to dissect my thoughts. So, um, Christianity is a religion. For some reason, I always think that there's not a spiritual practice that is closely aligned with Christianity. It's just a mere religion that you actually follow to the T. So, like a dictatorship, like something that you have to be so perfect with. This is my thoughts. You have to be so perfect with your practice that it is, gosh, it's so hard to actually be like a good, wholesome Christian. Especially because you have so much other things around you to distract you, you know? Um, my issues with Christianity, because I'm an artist and I do believe that art really and truly influence life. And I'm actually going to do a whole other video about that and actually do a history breakdown of like art and its fucked up ways and how the reason why people from the Caribbean will never ever benefit from being artists. My own thoughts. My own thoughts. Unless you actually leave the space and go elsewhere and come, I guess, probably come back and with the ideas. But it's going to be really hard for us to actually um be great artists. Anyway, Christianity have are through our colonialism, through using Christianity, has suppressed black people for a long time. We know this. Blah 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 blah. We know all of that, right? We know this, right? Cool. I don't have to explain that, right? Okay. So we know this. And even though we know this, we act like it doesn't exist. And we don't act like say all her history was removed. Okay. So we act like say when we did over Africa, we never have practice. We never have some kind of spiritual practice. Even if it's nothing. We never have something like people never do things. Why we're not seeking that? Like in America, I know it's very beneficial to be a Christian because of the mega churches. You can get food, you can start a church, get tax breaks. Um, God forbid. God forbid me become like a whole spiritual guru in Jamaica. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die in prison because it's still illegal to practice. So it's very liberating to see people actually on the internet, people who are you have known in the real world, in the real realm, practicing this. Now, how do we use this intuition, this curiosity to make our country, our lives better? How do we invest the money that we are taking to buy crystal into other things? Ooh! I'm doing too much. I'm doing too much. I'm doing too much. I'm doing too much. I'm spitting right now. I'm spitting. Like for real though, like how you gonna use the money, the 10 grand, the 5 grand, and invest it in something else and liberate yourself. Like actually liberating yourself out of certain things. How? How do we start to think about how we treat um eating with you certain every day we go get a box lunch and we eat box food out of styrofoam, or in the case now there's still like a plastic kind of thing that they're using. Why we shame for bring one plate, a wooden plate, to the canteen, because we're still closely aligned with bullshit. Just the truth. Like we're still scared to not be weird in the real world. But it's really hip to be weird online because it is a niche, you know? But it's not hip to be weird in our real lives. And I think it's gonna cost us. It is costing us, you know? That's why we can always love our Rasta people. Like we can always respect Rastas. Like them bring them things them around. Like there's never a moment that a Rasta man don't have utensils ready for eat. You know? Like share my food in a this. Don't share my food in um the box, that box. Like certain things like invest how you go exactly like all right, so this comment say invest in your passion. For example, instead of bold, uh, instead ball about poverty every day. Exactly, like damn, and even the next thing too, and not even just like I even like just buying um what you call that? No, it's not just like investing in yourself. It's just like if you don't even have this the love or the want to do creative work or anything like that, but like invest it in others. You know what I mean? Like invest it in somebody who wants to go to school but they can't afford bus fare. Like invest it into a company, a startup company who is actually looking into sustainable living. Like I really believe that spirituality is closely aligned with sustainable living and like a healthy living. I'm not telling nobody to be a vegan because I'm not vegan, and I don't believe that that's healthy for everybody. But like just sustainable living, the type of clothes that you wear, how much clothes you wear, are you investing in fast fashion? Are you overselling certain kind of things? Are you hanging out with like low key rapist people, like sustainable livings that is like sustain you and other people. You know, don't just give away your money to crystal people because it is cool to buy crystals. Yeah, them pretty. You can buy two, but you don't have to buy 10 a year time. You can also invest it in other things. And I really feel like as black people, we need to start to think about, because yeah, we start to think about spirituality, and yes, that's a good move. But we need to start to think about capital. like capitalism. I really feel like we conquering spirituality and conquering capitalism is going to be our best suit as black people because we need money. We need to invest in each other, right? We need to invest in creativity. We need to actually buy creative works and invest in that kind of thing because the creative industry, for example, is very lucrative, but we're not using it to the best of our advantage. For example, the other day I was talking about, and I think this also aligns well with it. People who see creatives, I'm using the word creatives. I really don't like it, but I'm gonna use the word creatives because it covers everybody. Creatives, make a piece of jewelry, right? Or they make clothes or anything, and that person took years of like just years of research, practice to make a bead work. You know, like just a little bead work to make sure that when you put the bead around your neck, it doesn't what you call that? No, it no. When you put the bead around your neck, it no pop off. Like when you put on some chain around your neck isn't bumping up. People actually spend time to do these things. But no, because sustainable living or entrepreneurship, this word of entrepreneurship is so popular, you see a lot of people stealing designs, especially these people that are so closely related to um, spiritual practice, as they say. Are them they're making the clothes that look like maybe like a white person invented, or there's like because you have like these white fashion inspired looks from TikTok. Like I see it all the time. I'm like, as a black person, yeah, they look nice, but like, and as I said that, I think maybe these white people are actually stealing black people's design. Hmm. There's a lot of things, there's a lot of things to think about. But the point I'm saying that, like, as somebody who's spiritual and things should just come to you naturally. Things things that you are supposed to do will come to you naturally. You know? You don't force don't force to be a creative um or somebody in that field because it is now popular that all your friends are creatives. Everybody a paint, um everybody a make jewelry, and everybody do this and that, but like we need barbers, we need barbers, we need hairstylists, we need lawyers, we need other professions too. And to me too, I really believe that it is sometimes spirituality is closely aligned with cruff culture. Like, oh my god, I just said that. Ooh, I am on a roll today. It's almost like I took, I don't know what's in this water. I'm a company people in live I call people prof. So sometimes, especially especially where they like men are concerned, I've seen men online who, and this has nothing to do with Jamaica, to be honest. It's just I don't know if you've seen them, but like Dr. Umar Johnson for me just give me Croft energy. I'm not gonna lie. It just give me Croft energy. I've probably been dragged for saying something like this. And if you don't know who he is, what's a quick Google? What's a quick Google? When we're done though. So like I don't know if he's into like spirituality, but he just give me this Croft energy. Anyway, but there's like other people, other men, especially like this whole thing. Let's talk about this too. This whole thing of like these men saying that they're closely aligned with like some spiritual thing and like they're going back to the earth and like they take many wives. Bullshit. You're in some bullshit, sir. That's some BS. Like like they're gonna tell you that in Africa men take multiple wives and they're gonna be off the earth and like all of that bullshit. And I ain't gonna lie, I was like, I feel like a part of me, or maybe like a part of me was like little bit attracted to people to men who like kind of separated themselves from society in a way. But then the more I interacted with them over time, I realized that they're really rough and they're really like just not ambitious. And I'm gonna have a conversation about ambition. I feel like I say that every minute. I'm gonna have a conversation about ambition because I really believe that not everybody needs to have ambition. But being a cruff, I don't want to agree. I don't agree with that. Like you don't want to live, you don't want to do anything, you don't want to be sustainable and like actually develop land and like things. All you care about is having multiple wives and fucking down the place and probably having like a bunch of children that you can't afford, and then you say yeah you're off the earth because you're doing a spiritual practice, you know what I mean? So I find it weird, like there's a weirdness in like that kind of element and this the space that that we are in as black people. I feel like rich men are allowed to have multiple wives because you can afford it. And if women are okay with that kind of relationship, because for a long time as somebody who's investigating spirituality, I felt as if, and spirit, by the way, spirituality is very aligned with sexuality as well and sexual desire and stuff. In my view, it might not be so for other things, but as I say, over time I will have research essays and stuff that I'm actually documenting, and I'm doing research for things and I'm going to be posting. But for a long time when I've been like investigating self and my nuance are like community. Oh yeah, laugh from Mr. My nuance for like or my need for community and like stuff like that. I actually think about how good it would be if I was in a relationship like a poly a poly relationship with multiple people and that I wouldn't have to do more. I wouldn't have to do a lot of things because I'm a little bit selfish. So it'd be cool if like I'm in a relationship with a guy, but I don't have to do everything. I don't have to provide him everything because I believe that you're not providing me with everything. So it's balance, but it's my selfishness. But you see, like everything is like so closely aligned to money. Like it's so closely aligned to money, and regardless of what you think about money, we need money to move and to exist. But also, I feel like I'm at that space where I'm like, how can we also use our monies to build up our community? Like build a new school for art. Like how can we like how can like 10 people 10 people who have no money just come together and be like, okay, for the next 5 years of my life, I'm gonna put down this amount of money, and I'm going to 10 people, and we're going to build up this thing, and we're actually going to launch it. I'm actually going to do this. I'm actually going to make it work. I don't know, but I need friends like that. I need friends like that. I need friends who think about things like that. Even if we don't have money right now, I feel like we're very young. I'm 26 years old. I feel like I'm very young. Like in the next 4 years, I probably can own something. Like if I had friends who were willing to like invest in business and stuff, we could own something. Like if we're putting on a little money, or even investing in stocks or something, we have to at this point we have to also use spirituality. We have to use indigenous practice, learn capitalism, learn colonialism, and move through ideas how we're gonna change our lives and how we're gonna be better black people, you know? And this whole sameness, like I feel like America is over there and like they're black, but then I don't think that they think about the wider spectrum of black people around the world. That hey, we are around the world as well, and we would also want to be rich, and we also want to be spiritually okay and mentally okay. How can we do these kind of things? And that's why I love Marcus Garvey teachings, and he was like the first person I actually read. Like I would like so advise you guys to like read Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. Please read that book. Like please. That actually changed my entire mindset around just conquering certain things within just not just my life, but like the things I aspire to become. And that's not even like based in spirituality, but there's a lot of things that I feel like that can help us to move forward and beat capitalism. I really believe that we have to beat it. Like we have to start to beat capitalism at this point. So make a YouTube channel, please and thanks. I actually have a YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel. It's my name, Sasha K. Hines. Actually, I'm going to put this video on there. Um, Somebody said, being is higher, unity is power, regardless of difference in position. That's my point. Like unity is strength. Like, hello, puss. The mayor. Sorry. She's so comedy nice. Sorry, that's my cat. It's so. That's my point. It's like read. No, for real though, just read Marcus Garvey's philosophies and opinions. Or I should probably have like a reading section of it. I could do that. I could do that. Or read like my favorite parts. Yeah, I could do that. I can probably call my ex and be like, hey, hi, it's Sasha. And he's gonna be like, what's up? I'm like, can I borrow your book? I really need to read it. And he's gonna be like, no. But I can try. Actually, I'm planning to go to what the name of Liberty Hall, Legacy of Marcus Garvey. It is on 73 King Street. Some part of King Street downtown. I don't remember the actual number. 73 or 71 or 72 or some 70. Let me Google it real fast. But I feel like not just because we have so much weapons. like things hitting us all at once. We have the whole spiritual thing hitting us at one angle. We have capitalism beating us at another angle. We have colonialism beating us at another angle. Then we have colorism beating us at another angle. I really believe that we need to start to say, okay, how do we attack everything at once and not be so caught up in just being one way, you know what I mean? And just attacking one issue when there's so much issues around us. Um, Liberty Hall. Oh yeah, I was so wrong. Liberty Hall is 76 Upper King Street downtown. So actually, I feel like if you really need to to start to think about certain things, I feel like you should give that space a visit. And just truly ask them to like go through the library. And that's the next thing. Reading is so important for us, Black people. Read online things. Like if you get curious about things, Google it. And I'm not saying like just Google and read the first thing that comes up, but like reading is so integral and important. So access that, like access how you can really tap into spirituality and be more than just an aesthetic online. Ooh, look at me. Just look at it more and say, hey, if I'm going to practice, or like me, a closeted person who doesn't push my things down people's throat, and my spirituality is to seek healing for people. For example, that's what I do. And not really healing in the sense of like I'm selling herbs and herbs and teas and stuff, or crystals or stuff, but I'm more into the psychological healing, you know. And I feel like that's very important. I feel like people need to start to think about other ways that they can actually help to heal, or or race of people, like our community as Black people. Like, how can we heal ourselves from all these bad things that society and religion and this and that throw at us? How can we heal it from it and move on, and how we can create wealth? Because it's so important. Because nobody can tell me that we don't have kings and queens in Africa. We don't have kings and queens in West Africa. Because I notice every time there is a conversation around kings and queens, there's always the Ethiopia. There's always I don't know, other spaces in Africa outside of just West Africa that we actually come from. And I'm not saying that everybody, if you did live in West Africa, that means that you're a king and you're a queen. No, that's not the idea. But the idea of that we are also important, and we are also seen as important in those kind of contexts and spaces. We actually have to start to be genuine genuine with yourself, and say, I am genuinely interested in African culture. That's the next thing. How can you say you're into African spirituality and you haven't been listening to African music, or no African artworks, or no Africans? Like, you would seek, because of these curiosities that you have, you would start to seek these things. You know what I mean? Like, you start to seek, like, I remember the first time like I interacted with somebody from Nigeria. And the first thing I asked them was like, um, tell me about the spiritual practice in your tribe, because I was so interested in it. And that's where I learned how to say certain words in Yoruba, and and you learn about that's the next thing. There's like so much tribes in Nigeria, right? So you get to learn about these things, and every time I meet a Nigerian, and make that kind of connection with them. It doesn't mean that all of them are nice or they're good to you, and you will learn that over time, especially if you're a spirit person of spirituality or somebody who feels a lot. Um, yeah, if you feel a lot, and I'm very reserved, and I don't really speak to a lot of people, but a lot of people I do talk a lot to people, but I don't make gestures to go through and like be the first person to talk sometimes. But certain times I will also speak up, and like if I'm really interested in your culture and you, I will talk to you, But you will learn over time who is not your friend or who is your friend. Yeah. And that's also a part of the spiritual journey. To like cut and clear everybody who's not your friend. I feel like I say a lot. How long have I been here? Jesus Christ. So I'm gonna ask if you have any questions. You can comment your question. Yeah. Being a maroon is being a king. I am of royal blood. Even my English name, chapter, ancestral given coffee. Ooh. Okay. You know what's funny? I actually really want to have an experience in maroon like life. Like I always been like trying to investigate how you actually like get I guess access to that. But I've been told that you can't. So maybe that's something I'll never experience. But I've always curious as we said, curiosity is going to be the best help. I've done so much things in my life just because I'm curious about things. For me to reach at this place to even like I guess talk about um anything really. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, oh God. Before I go, I wanted to say everybody who came on my life, you were meant to be on my life. I don't normally let people know that I'm on here. I actually um always just come on and I vibe all the time. This is a page that I come on and um and I talk a lot of bullshit sometimes on it. But sometimes it end up being like good conversations. I even talk to myself on this thing. I used to use, especially because of like COVID and like being at home alone, I get to like dissect my thoughts. And I started to like do journaling, um, just voice journaling my thoughts instead of just writing them down because sometimes my thoughts are like all over the place. But I start to write them down, and that's how I actually understand what I'm trying to say sometimes. Yeah. So I'm grateful that you came. You know, I'm grateful that you came. So once connected with your ancestors, you receive all knowledge and wisdom. Like, I don't think, yeah, I feel you. I know what you mean. Um, Especially, I think my journey is that I've been um looking more into solution based solutions for healing for black women, especially because we need it. And along my journey of like information, I realized that there is um there was this kind of article that I was reading that said what they did like a survey or something like that, or they did like some form of testing, and this was done by a black woman. So I take it and ran. This testing was done by a black woman. So what happened was that she actually tested women to see the quality of life that they would have lived um if they were like, one group of them was like spiritual. They were practicing African spirituality, specifically Yoruba practice and voodoo, and the other half was Christian. And basically, the research basically said that it was better to live a spiritual life for black women, and it's more beneficial for black women to live a spiritual existence than a one of going to church and having religious practice. And my view of it is like, I believe that maybe it is because in like African spirituality, or no, in like culture, like most black cultures around the world, and I mean like westernized cultures, we are like, especially when we need to seek help for things, because a lot of black women are traumatized and dehumanized. When we need help for things, the first thing that we are told that we are supposed to go to church and pray about it. Yeah, that will work. So this research actually was like an eye opener for me, because I was like, that makes sense, because if the thing that we're doing for years isn't working, why are we still doing it, kind of thing. And I'm like, I solely believe like if you go to church, you can also go to therapy. You can also seek the help that you actually need, and don't shortchange yourself because it is not popular to go to church and therapy, because it's like you're going against God if you don't go. If you go to church and then you go therapy, it's like you're going against God. But then there's this saying that says God help those who help themselves. And I'm sure there wouldn't be therapists if you need it. But in African spirituality, there is this notion of healing, healing from like just a lot of things, like from a lot of angles, like and I'm not gonna say that African spirituality is perfect or it doesn't have its, I guess, dehumanizing ways. But it is indigenous, and and it's been going on for a long time. And the focus, if it is good spirituality, the focus of it is usually on the onus of both the ancestors and the 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 being who is you, your ancestors and you, and that connection, and you learning to accept death sometimes, not for yourself, but like somebody else dies and you have to accept that that person died. um Death isn't something glorious, like, like, I always think that that's also weird in Christianity, that we're all gonna die kind of mentality, that is like suicidal kind of thing. um yeah, I just think that's very suicidal, but it is so important for black women to develop methods of care for themselves and methods that actually help us heal.